How you doing?
Good, how are you?
Pretty good. How's the fry?
It was good.
Hi, Rachel.
Can you take one of
Hi.
Nice to meet you.
Nice to see you.
Nice to meet you.
Hi. How are you doing? Hello.
Nice to meet you.
Hello.
Good to meet you. I'm Best of luck.
Hello. Good to see you.
Hello. Good morning.
Good afternoon. Good afternoon.
I miss you.
Guys, I'm like the quiz. Yeah.
Totally. But you see them as like, they say you. Yeah. So, only one person. So I went off and snapped her name tags from upstairs. I was like, I gotta use these two.
Can you cut the lights? If we turn the lights off, will that be okay for the video?
The screen's so small.
Yeah, you can pick it up.
It's okay?
Yeah.
Perfect.
Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for coming. My name is Kate McGrath, and I'm the account manager for cliMox.
Hi, I'm Alon Gonzalez-Torres. I'm the analytical and strategy team member in cliMox.
Hi, I'm Susan McRoy, and I'm the creative director at cliMox.
And hi, I'm Chloe Siegel, and I'm the brand development manager for Unific.
I've always been like that. I give 100%. I can't do it any other way. These were words that were spoken by a young girl who landed the first big role in one of the biggest movie franchises ever, with no professional acting experience, a girl who was selected as a Goodwill UN ambassador, a girl who is a yoga instructor, and a girl who got a degree in English literature from an Ivy League school. If you weren't able to see who I was alluding to, it was Emma Watson, a timeless classic role model for our generation. You're probably sitting there wondering, how does Emma Watson fit in with this presentation? Is it her hairstyle? Because we all know she can rock anything. That's not what we're talking about today. But there is going to be some intersection, and that's what we're going to talk about, examining the relationship between this Emma Watson-esque girl and suave professionals, and everything that fits in between. So where are suave professionals currently? Right now, these are their social media presence and their in-store. We'll talk a little bit later how this doesn't really resonate with our consumer, and that's a little bit or a big problem. I'm going to hand it off to Alon to talk about it more.
All right, so what is the problem exactly? There's two facets to this problem, both perceptually and how we segment the market. So first we did some focus groups to ask the target market exactly, what do you feel about suave? So we asked them, if suave was a person, if they're going to a party, if they had hobbies, what would they be like? You got things like, they're a stay-at-home mom, they're quite at the party, they enjoy baking, they enjoy reading and cooking. These are fairly introverted qualities. Across the board, people were saying these introverted aspects of suave that we really took into consideration when considering the strategy that we wanted to move forward with. So we drew up a perceptual map to better illustrate where exactly the competitors are compared to suave. Now on the x-axis you see reserved and loud, meant to represent exactly how they look like in those digital channels as well as in-store. And then finally the y-axis, the salon quality and value brand, meant to illustrate exactly how those consumers see the quality of the brand. Now, these weren't arbitrarily put down by us, although we did have a strong part in it. But we did actually ask people in our focus groups, you know, if you had 3 words to attribute to specific brands, what would you say about them? So let's give a few examples. Tresemme, really sophisticated look in their social media. A lot of people attributed them to be salon quality, trendy, but old, which we interpreted as mature. Then we have OGX. You have that iconic bottle and the icon, as well as really loud, sort of event-driven Instagram feeds, and that real focus on ingredient trends. And then we have Pantene, those strong colors, gold, black, white, and then people acknowledging that they're fun and friendly, but also affordable. And then finally we have Suave, where you see in their Instagram kind of focusing on that coconut flavor that they have going on for Suave professionals, because, you know, we won an award for Latino magazine, and there's a lot of good hype with that flavor. But people will consistently describe them as cheap, old, and kind of awkward. Now, who are these people that are talking about this? Let's look at millennials. They're arguably one of the most well-researched market in marketing. And also, they're large, they're diverse, but they also have the financial power to revitalize any brand. So let's look at some aspects. They're really heavy social media users. And because of this, they're always well informed. They're sharing new information all the time. But they're also entering into the workforce right now and in college, so they're always on the go. And additionally, how do you separate work from life? They do this through mindfulness or holistic methods. There's a big trend of mindfulness and headspace apps, as well as things that really focus on the internal self-reflection of oneself that is really catching on with millennials. And then finally, they really want to optimize their life to the fullest. You see this through productivity apps that measure metrics like fitness apps and Fitbits. And then additionally, you see that they want to be authentic. They want to align with brands that really do their best to separate them from their friends. We chose to segment this in 3 ways. So on the go is a really interesting aspect. Now, when they're doing their beauty routine, we know that 75% of millennials spend less than 30 minutes on their hair. And if we further divide this, we can see a big divide between beauty enthusiasts and occasional beauty users. Now, we're going to focus on occasional beauty users. Occasional beauty users really don't experiment that much. They're aware of the trends, but they're not that willing to just go head on in. They really are interested in those mass brands, which Suave is, and additionally, they have a basic and intermediate skill with how they do their beautification. Then we have productivity. So we know that in a survey done by Microsoft, that 97% of 18 to 20-year-olds in their company say that productivity is the key to happiness. But what does that exactly mean? In college, we know that these millennials are delaying marriage for education. They really want that high education. But other than that, what else are they doing? What we noticed that is that with single millennials, they're also 30% more likely than their married counterparts to actively look for those jobs. They want those jobs. They want to stay healthy and so on. But between those times, what are they doing? And this is where the mindfulness aspect comes in. We know that terms like what is mindfulness and meditation apps are really trending on Google searches. There's been over a 300% and 500% increase within the past 5 years, and that's crazy. And finally, authenticity. If you've been here last year, you know that with the Lipton case, they talked heavily about that sort of authenticity. When you walk through the atrium, you saw on the laptops those stickers, you see on backpack those pins, and everything like that to kind of deviate from the rest of their friends. But you also have to consider the socio-political climate. Since there's been a lot of political talk, people are really reevaluating their values, additionally trying to differentiate themselves between their friends in terms of their opinion.
Thank you. So obviously through our secondary observational and focus group research, we identified some of these major trends, which led us to our nugget of insight. Millennials desire a brand that resonates with their internal drive and self-reflective nature. We really noticed this in the six attributes that we were talking about, and we were wondering how can Suave professionals leverage this into new campaigns? To address this, we came up with a new brand essence for the brand. The first one being genuine. It's really important, like Alon mentioned, that they crave authenticity. They want experiences and objects that are all their own. However, they also want brands that are going to reflect those experiences. In the State of the Yaya done by University of Missouri's Mojo ad, they said that millennials think that advertisers are really marketing them, but they're laughing at their attempts to do that. And that's not really what we want. You know, a lot of brands are going over, we want to relate to those big experiences. However, Suave really wants to understand the consumer, whether it's just that little cup of coffee that gets your day started. We want to see that we're understandable for that. Also, we just want to say we're not another shampoo. You know, we can differentiate ourselves. We're real along with you. Secondly, our ideal Suave girl is not outspoken, but she's well-spoken. She's thoughtful. She's very informed. She grew up in the end of the economic recession, and she's in this midst of this political activism and socioeconomic place like Alon mentioned. So she's very thoughtful of the world around her. However, this is twofold. Not only does this apply to our girl, but it also applies to the product. Suave is celebrating its 80th year this year. That means we're very credible. We know the industry, we know the ingredients, we know what's trending. So not only is our girl well-spoken, but we know the industry and we're well-spoken and intelligible and articulate in that way. And finally, this overarching theme of quiet confidence. I alluded to this with Emma Watson in the beginning. She has her foot in everything. She gives 100% to all, but she's not in your face. And that's something we really want to see in our marketing campaigns, and just whenever you see us on the digital scape, in the store, whenever you use the product, we wanted to help you throughout your day to create a better picture of who you want to be and the things you want to accomplish, while not being in your face. Now, establishing these three, we really want to have these stabilized for the next years to come. They really transcend the ages, and we think that we can apply it in the coming years. Using this brand essence, I'm going to take you back to the perceptual map. Like Alon said, it's not a bad thing for us to be in this mass-produced, reserved quadrant like Dove. However, there's no conversation around suave professionals right now, and that's kind of the issue. So what we want to do is move it up here. You're probably thinking repositioning, but it's not. This is actually Suave's current positioning, salon quality at an affordable price. So we really want to emphasize that more, and we think that using this brand essence can really do that and elevate us to the next level, where we can really compete with this L'Oreal, Tresemme trend. We're using the same ingredients, we have the same results, but we're just not being perceived that way. So that's something we really want to focus on, and I'm going to hand that off to Susan to talk about it more.
So like Kate said, we really wanted to come up with a campaign that's still hitting on the salon quality and but including the brand essence of quiet confidence, well-spoken, and being genuine. So we wanted to promote to our consumers to have a good day, you know, so that they can continue being productive and but tie that in with suave professionals and bring it to have a good hair day. And doing so, we're hoping to promote that they can still have the hair that they want without spending too much time or money on it, because that seems to be what our target market would like. So first off, our color scheme, we wanted to sort of tone down the colors and make it more of a cool color scheme that resonated with millennials. So in our focus groups, we showed these 4 colors along with colors that were more like royal purple and primarily gold color scheme. And they all tended to prefer the cooler colors, not only because it went along with our brand essence and the message we are trying to get across, but also just because they're very visually appealing. So our Instagram, we incorporate the same color scheme as well as providing content that hits on the concept of being well-spoken. Like you can see in the middle, we have a quote from Emma Watson, and then being the productive concept, we have this girl who says make a good hair day, and she has her Fitbit on. She hit 10,000 steps, and then a girl in the top row on her computer, you know, just productive college student things. And then we have our product featured in the bottom corner, but we really wanted to stay away from our social media being too product heavy and providing more content, almost making it more of a social campaign, promoting these ideals and way of life of like taking time for yourself and doing things that will make you a better person. And then in the bottom right corner, we have a post that says, show us where you're most productive, which we could implement a more of an interactive portion where hopefully users and consumers will post pictures, hashtagging Suave, and we had the idea to partner with Moleskine journals, and because that would sort of, if you don't know what that is, it's just like a leather journal to promote the idea of self-reflection and productivity, and so they could win that by posting pictures, whether it's being outside in a hammock or sitting in the grass or inside at their desk. We thought that that would be a fun, interactive way and a way to partner with someone else. And even though social media is really important, we wanted to stick with still having some traditional print ads. So in this ad, we have it says, have a good hair day, and then the girl, there's a bunch of words in her hair that sort of represent like who, you know, positive things about who she is, and still going back to the idea where it's having a good day, like not only having a good day, also having a good hair day. And then in this ad, we in the bottom it says, if you can't read that, Haley needs her hair to be as real as her. That's why she uses Suave Professionals Gold. It's affordable and effective, allowing her to put her time into things she cares about. And then going back to our Facebook, in our focus groups, we found that millennials really like content that they don't have to spend too much time reading, and also content they can find beneficial to themselves. So rather than just pictures of products, it could be effective if they're good pictures, but if they're just scrolling through, it's not something that they're going to share on their page. So we have 2 articles that are more in like the list view. It says 10 ways to de-stress right now, and then 10 dorm essentials. We thought that these would be things that millennials could hopefully relate to and would like to share on their page. And also our target market is ages 17 to 24. And so a large percentage of those people are going to be college-age students and always like looking for what they need to bring to college. And you can see we have the swab bottle featured in there. And then at the top, we have an article that was already posted by BuzzFeed and just says we need to talk about Emma Watson's hair. And that relates back to what Kate said, just tying Emma Watson into our campaign because we think that she is definitely relevant to the social values that we are trying to promote. And then just continue with BuzzFeed, we, as a way to differentiate ourselves from other hair care brands, we would like to sponsor not only articles that promote beauty products, but also articles such as 50 inspirational quotes to get you through the day, just as a way to promote that social aspect of our brand and not only focus on the product. And then moving into Snapchat, in our focus groups, we asked how they feel about ads on Snapchat because Snapchat is a very brand corporation heavy app, even if you don't realize it. There's a lot of promoted content, like all on the discovery page. And so they said that they just normally click through the ads where it just says like ad at the bottom, that it pops up in between Snapchat stories. And so we wanted to sponsor content, again, something that they could relate to and they would find helpful. And we have a filter where it just says it's a good hair day. And we thought that this would be effective because millennials are not really likely to listen to corporations or brands, but if it's something that their friends are sharing with them, it seems more reliable. And Snapchat's a huge social media platform for them. And then finally, our in-store display. We found that millennials really like things that look clean and organized, and we were trying to think of a way that we could make Suave stand out in drugstores and still promote that salon quality feel. And so that's how we came up with this display. And we sort of modeled it off of a salon chair. So it's how there's the mirror in the middle and then products on the side. And so we're hoping it'll be like on an end cap. And if people are walking by, it says have a good hair day at the top. And we'd like to have people encourage them to like take a selfie in the picture, use our hashtag, and post that on social media. And there's a lot that you can do with that, with giveaways and contests, and just really getting consumers engaged. And so this just sort of shows how we tied it into our brand essence. We really tried to hit on the idea of being genuine with the have a good hair day in quotes, just encouraging positivity. And then with well spoken, that's really where Emma Watson came in, and she just represented that idea of being very articulate and standing for things that you believe in. And then quiet confidence, we kind of hit on that with our colors and overall aesthetic, where it wasn't too bold. That's why we didn't go with the royal purple or bright gold, and went with more toned down colors just to hit on that.
So we would like to implement our Have a Good Hair Day campaign in the next year, so in 2018. In addition to this, we've created a long-term vision for where we see Suave Professionals Gold in the future, which includes a handful of innovations. So 2 years down the road in 2020, we've created an extension campaign that plays off this idea that we've hinted at of self-reflection, and we call this hashtag Shower Thoughts. This hashtag is representative of that time of productivity and self-reflection that a woman will experience in the shower, hopefully with Suave Professionals Gold. Yes. As you can see, we have hashtag Shower Thoughts directly on the bottom of the bottle, but in addition to this, using a hashtag, we would like to drive a strong social media presence. This idea of being by yourself in the shower and having this time for self-reflection is extremely relevant today, and 5 years down the road, this will be even more relevant as Gen Z and millennials are becoming working adults. This also even reaches the next generation that's constantly bombarded with technology and social media. So moving on back to the bottle, Above hashtag shower thoughts, we have this phrase of make today yours. We wanted to include a phrase or a quote or question that really provokes that mental stimulation that we're pushing for. In addition to this, we've made a couple of other changes to the bottle. We started by toning down that gold to a beige or a light brown. In our focus groups, we found that a lot of them would love products that are similar to their skin tone, which we found really interesting. They also said that they would be attracted to a bottle that's more sophisticated and clean and not so congested. Along those lines, we've changed the central image to represent the product and the ingredient or ingredients that are used. We have our updated logo on the top, and we've also changed the description to, instead of having the hair type, we just have the benefits of the product, not to limit any of our consumers. Now moving 2 years down the road from there, we plan on implementing a handful of new ingredients. The two combos we have here are argan oil and aloe vera, and olive oil and lemongrass. We actually found these ingredients off of a list of Shea Moisture, and for those of you who don't know what Shea Moisture is, it's just a brand that targets Black consumers and multiracial consumers. According to an Essence and Nielsen report, African American women are actually the trendsetters or the innovators for industries such as health, entertainment, and even beauty product usage. And according to Mintel as well, the #1 trend for these women is the use of in-home ingredients. We all recognize these ingredients like aloe vera and olive oil, but we may not associate them with our hair. At this point, since this is the #1 trend for these women, we envision that 5 years down the road, this will be trending for mass consumers. Now to our final innovation. This is revolved around the Unilever Sustainable Living Plan. 3 pillars of this plan are improving health and well-being, enhancing livelihoods, and reducing environmental impact. Our goal is to cut our environmental footprint in half by 2030. And for us, this focuses around waste and packaging. Now, thus far, our approach has been to help users use less water, less energy, and to recycle, of course. But sadly and unfortunately, someone will use a product and the package will end up in a landfill after one use, never to be used again. We want to focus on this approach and create a closed-loop system. We want to design a product where the resources are used in a cyclical manner. And this led us to the creation of Suave Circular Economy. This is a mechanism where materials are used in a closed-loop system. As you can see here, we have a screen where users will have a quick login that'll keep track of the amount of bottles that have been recycled. And at this point, we're imagining that after recycling 2 bottles, you'll get a coupon for 1 free bottle. We definitely would want to have a trial period, of course, maybe in CVS's at all Big Ten universities, just to see what will actually be cost effective in the long run. Now, according to a Forbes article about Gen Z, digital natives are looking for that engaging conversation involving brand relationships. According to eMarketer and Mintel, millennials expect products and services that reflect their own values. Also, according to Mintel, millennials, their #1 importance for them is results, but in addition to this, they completely over-index when it comes to, they completely over-index when it comes to ethical claims such as environmentally friendly products. Sorry.
Good.
Sorry. Apologize. So when
That was basically, just in a nutshell. She hit on so many great points, and this is very important to our consumers. So this is just another thing, I'll let Chloe hit it off, but it's just another thing for repackaging in the bottle that really hits on the suave circular economy. Do you want to explain? It's just basically a reminder that it will be on top of the bottles, 3D, so it's not a sticker, it doesn't have any of that extra waste that may be contradictory, but it's really just a constant reminder whenever you're in the shower, you see it on the cap, and it's just that little quick thing to say, I should recycle this. Just that little reminder to add on to the suave circular economy, a circular loop. And this is just, like Chloe said, this is a little bit of a bigger timeline. It increases costs and all of that, and obviously has a trial period. But it also hits on with the 2030 target that we really want to hit on. And we think it would fit right in, and it's something we would really love to do and then implement for other Unilever brands. That kind of finishes our presentation. Thank you for listening, and the world is a big and busy place, especially for a girl. So whether it's through a good book or a good look, we want our girls to have a good hair day. Thank you.
Awesome, guys. I'm impressed, seriously. This is like some professional work.
Yeah, the design and the deck and everything.
I
It's
know.
beautiful.
Like our
Some of our
swap
decks aren't that
decks
great.
are
Yeah.
ugly.
Yeah.
Like the template. What did you use to?
This was all, so it's on Google Slides, but hats off to Susan and Liz, who's our creative assistant, really worked so hard on that. Yeah.
Cool. I had a question. I'll just dive right in. So you guys had the plan to get to 2030 and like kind of unveil all these new things. How flexible in your minds is that plan, just knowing that the world could change or insights could change or the ingredients that you're planning for might not really resonate anymore? Like, how, did you guys think through that and planning that far in advance? Are there any downfalls to that?
Okay. Well, so like based on the research that Rachel gave us, they said that you guys usually experiment with ingredients every 2 to 3 years. Mm-hmm. So for the ingredients part, I think that, while that's very flexible because it is such a quick turnaround, Chloe hit on some great points that in 5 years, this is probably what will be trending, but since it's just in the nature of the product to do that, it's definitely something that could be flexible. Regarding the 10-year plan, obviously you have to be ready for what comes your way. There could be like something like in the machine could be very detrimental to the environment. And that's just something you have to look into, but it's just the concept of we really want to do something with Suave and Suave professionals especially that will hit on that, and they'll know. I know that in the Unilever reports they're already talking about they're coming clean on a lot of the ingredients that they're using, and they're the first ones taking the steps. So it could just be something even more transparent than that machine.
It's funny because like Swap within the Unilever portfolio, there are a lot of brands that are doing things that are more sustainable, and Swap's kind of just sitting there pretty. And like we're a huge brand, like we should be leading that because we have such big brand recognition. And while it is a mass brand, like there's a lot that like if Suave takes a little step, like the whole kind of industry follows, or it's just a very small thing can go a long way from a sustainability perspective. So I definitely get that. I have a question that's kind of been on my mind throughout the semester, just in general. This campaign is obviously very targeted to millennials, and that's what we asked you to do. There is also, as you guys know, like a huge group of consumers that are like moms and like grandma and like people that are buying Suave professionals as well. How do you think that we would be able to not alienate or isolate the existing, consumer market?
I can take that. So I think we've been really talking about, I mentioned in the brand essence, we kind of wanted to transcend those words. May mean a lot, carry a lot of weight with millennials now, but I think they really all hit on something, especially if you're a mom, you want your daughter to have those kind of attributes and you want her to feel that way. It may not be so applicable to the older, if you're like a grandma or like that, but for a mother-daughter relationship, I think she really wants her to grow, and if that's if she sees that her daughter's using this, or else if the mother sees, like, this is what I want my daughter to be, then I think it could really help. And everyone wants to be a cool mom like Amy Poehler.
No, I think that's a really good answer, just because Suave is such like a legacy brand. It's like, it's because my mom used it.
Yeah.
Let alone that's why I use a lot of things I use. And Dove in a way has this like positioning of like that legacy. It kind of like trickles through the funnel, and like I want my daughter to be a Dove woman, which means being comfortable in her own skin, but also like taking care of herself and nurturing herself. So I think that this in particular is it's very ownable. I think it's super cool. And what I loved about this is that it made Suave less of a mass brand and more of like a lifestyle brand. And I think that that's, millennials crave that. Like, I'm a millennial myself, and I love brands that speak to my interests and my passions, and I think you guys did an awesome job of capturing that.
Yeah. I know I talked to you guys about the Axis last week,
Yes.
and I loved where you took it, because I think I'm very happy that you're not losing the brand essence, and you're still an affordable brand, but to just push up that salon quality and like be more relatable and relevant is the perfect thing to do. So I actually had a question of how you guys got to the term quiet confidence, because I like absolutely love that term. Like, it's just so great.
Actually thrown around in our focus group.
Yeah, because when we found that there's a lot of introverted qualities to Suave, we noticed that those who are intellectual tend to be those of quiet nature, and especially in something like academia, there's a lot of conservative, not so much like conservative politically, but in terms of how they handle their lifestyle.
Sure.
Especially since a lot of these like yoga classes, I talk a lot about mindfulness, I push that, and that's mainly the big tie between the quiet confidence. Because when you're in yoga, you're not screaming, unless you're doing screaming yoga. Which is but definitely, that tie of mindfulness is kind of like quiet and reserved and kind of like looking within yourself. We always imagine that to be a little bit more quiet. So that's where the quiet confidence comes in.
I loved that.
Thank
Project.
you.